All right, so you've poured everything into this amazing startup idea, and now you're staring at that government grant application. The big question is, how do you actually win it? How do you make your application stand out from the giant pile of others? Well, today, we're going to pull back the curtain. We're going to get inside the head of a grant reviewer so you can write the kind of application they physically cannot ignore.
Okay, so here's the first thing you absolutely have to get. The second a reviewer opens your application, they're not really reading it, not at first. They're sorting. In their head, there's just one question. Is this a tier 1? See, there's this unofficial internal ranking system they all use, and it basically decides your fate before they've even finished the first page. That initial glance, man, it is everything.
So let's talk about the judge's first 10 seconds. You think you have 15 pages to convince them? Nope. You have about 10 seconds. Seriously, in that tiny, tiny window of time, a reviewer makes a snap judgment. It's based on 2 key things that will color how they see your entire application. If you nail these, you're golden. If you don't, well, you're already climbing a very steep hill. And that brings us to what is probably the single most important thing they look for: founder-idea fit. In Korean, they call it ilchisung, which means, consistency or alignment. It's the first thing they check every single time. And it's a simple question. Does your personal story, your degree, your job history, your skills match the business you want to build? Think about it. A literature major suddenly pitching a super complex AI company with zero tech background? That's a massive red flag. This fit is what kicks off that whole sorting process.
So how does that sorting actually work? Well, it's all about these 3 unspoken tiers. Tier 1, that's the high-spec club. We're talking about someone with a PhD in robotics from a top school who wants to start, you guessed it, a robotics company. The fit is perfect. They're almost a shoo-in. Then you've got Tier 2. These are strong applicants, a really good fit, but maybe they don't have that super elite, high-spec background. Honestly, this is where most successful people land. And Tier 3? Well, that's the mismatch pile. They might get a look if the reviewers are desperate to fill a quota, but you don't want to be there. Your whole game plan has to be about proving you're a solid Tier 1 or Tier 2. Okay, next up, experience or imagination. So once they've checked you out, their focus pivots to your idea. Specifically, where did it come from? This is the next big test, and it's what really separates the serious entrepreneurs from the dreamers.
Now, this is going to sound brutal, but it's the honest-to-God truth from a reviewer's perspective. Ideas born in your head almost always fail. And we know this. Look, they've seen it 1,000 times. The wouldn't it be cool if ideas. And they've seen them crash and burn again and again. So they are incredibly skeptical of any idea that sounds like you thought it up on your couch instead of spotting it in the real world. In the trenches of an actual industry. And this really splits all business ideas into 2 camps in their minds. First, you've got the experience-based idea. This is from someone who's been in an industry for years, saw a nagging, expensive problem every single day, and finally figured out a way to solve it. To a reviewer, that is pure gold. Then you have the conceptual idea. This is the "it would be nice if" idea from an outsider. It's built on assumptions, not experience, and believe me, they will tear it apart with extreme scrutiny.
So how do you convince them your idea is real and not just a daydream? Simple. You bring proof. You need hard, objective evidence. We're talking results from actual tests with your target customers. Put direct quotes in your application from people saying, "Yes, I need this. I would pay for this." Show them the survey data that proves the problem is real. Just remember this one thing. Your voice is a claim, but the customer's voice, that's proof.
All right, let's move beyond the idea to the business itself. Let's say you've done everything right so far. Your founder idea fit is solid, you've proven your idea is grounded in reality, you're looking good. But a great idea isn't the same thing as a great business. See, reviewers aren't funding a cool project, they're funding a company. And that means they need to see that you've got a real plan to survive and grow for the long haul.
Just to put this in perspective, here's a quick story. The consultant who's the source for this whole explainer, he once developed a fingerprint sensor. And guess how much it costs to get from the idea to just a working prototype? 3 billion won. That's over $2 million. That is the insane reality of how much things actually cost. So that government grant you're applying for, it's just a drop in the bucket. Reviewers know this, and the real test is whether you know it too.
And that's exactly why you need a 3-year survival plan. It's not optional. First step, define your goal. And I don't mean a vague dream. I mean a specific, concrete milestone, like get 1,000 paying customers. Second, calculate the total cost to reach that goal, not just for this year, but the whole thing. Third, and this is so important, show them where the rest of the money is coming from.
Are you going to raise money from angel investors, go for a Series A? And finally, a really practical one, how are you going to live while you're building this company? It proves you've actually thought about the tough stuff.
You know why this is so important? Because reviewers have a nightmare scenario. It's creating what they call a zombie company, a zombie GIP. This is a business that never actually gets real customers or makes real money. It just survives by lurching from one government grant to the next, sucking up public funds without ever becoming a real sustainable company. Your 3-year plan is basically your sworn promise that you will not become one of these zombies.
Okay, let's get practical and talk about the actual document, the secrets of a passing document. Because you can have the best strategy in the world, but if your presentation is a mess, it can kill your chances. Seriously, how you format your business plan says a lot about how clearly you think. Here are some super simple do's and don'ts. It's all about respecting the reviewer's time. Stick to the 15-page limit. If you write 30 pages, it just tells them you can't explain your own business concisely. Use bullet points. Nobody wants to read a giant wall of text. Write a killer 1-page summary, not a brambling 3-pager. And for the love of all that is holy, pick a font size they can actually read. And on that note about font size, here's a little insider tip you need to hear. Think about who's reading this. A lot of reviewers are seasoned pros, maybe in their 40s or 50s. They've read hundreds, if not thousands of these things. So here's the reality. If you use a tiny font, they're not going to squint and struggle through it. They just won't read it, period.
Which brings us back to that 1-page summary. I cannot stress this enough. This is where 80% of the decision is made. Don't think of it as just an intro. It IS the application. It's where the reviewer decides if you're a Tier 1, Tier 2, or Tier 3. Everything else they read after that page is really just to confirm the decision they've already made in their gut. You have to get this page perfect.
Okay, let's talk about the final moment of decision. You've brought it all together, you've made a fantastic first impression, your idea is rock solid, your plan makes sense, the document looks professional. Now the reviewer is looking at those last few details that will seal the deal and decide whether to write the check or pass. Your team slide is a minefield of potential red flags. Here's what they look for. First, a founder who looks way less qualified than the rest of the team. That just screams puppet president, like the real team is just using you to get the grant. Second, don't list your college professor as a core team member. They're an advisor, not a full-time employee, and the reviewers know that. Also, be really careful with the world's first claim. A lot of times, that just means there's no market for what you're selling. Bottom line, the founder has to be the clear number one, the star of the whole show. Another thing they look for throughout your entire plan is the difference between a goal and a hope. What's the difference? A goal is something concrete you can measure, like, we will sign our first 10 business clients in the next year. A hope is a big fuzzy dream, like, we hope to become a billion-dollar company someday. A reviewer can look at a goal and decide if it's realistic. A hope? They just ignore it. It's just fluff. And really, it all comes down to this one crucial point. You have to show them that this grant is just one step. It's not the entire journey. This isn't a lottery ticket you're hoping to cash in. It's just step one of a much bigger, much more detailed plan to build a real business. Your entire application has to scream that you've thought 10 steps ahead.
So in the end, after all the pages and all the numbers, the reviewer is really just trying to answer one simple question about you. Are you an entrepreneur or are you a government grant hunter? Are you a real founder with a vision who will use this grant as a tool to build something great, or are you just good at filling out paperwork to get free money? Your application is your answer.